This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so we will start the meeting. We will stand for the pledge. Is that fun? Okay. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Do the good things for the good people.
Mr. Mayor,
Right.
I move that we have an executive session on personnel discipline matters now.
I second.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, let's vote. Fran?
Yes.
Everybody in favor? Yes?
Yes, yes, yes,
Anyone opposed? Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
Since we did the pledge already, we already did this, right? I sure did. Alright, so we're gonna go a tiny bit out of order tonight. We're gonna let Julie and the FEMA guys presentation just because they've been here since 9:01. And then we'll do public comment.
It's not even a presentation, it's just for them to just introduce themselves. So Julie Michi, we had a whole day meeting, with these 4 people from FEMA. So we were selected for a program that's called BRIC DTA, which is Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Direct Technical Assistance. So we have 3 years of the services of FEMA to help us become more resilient. And we had a kickoff meeting today, and we talked about stormwater and critical infrastructure and a culvert going to the wastewater treatment plant and education programs. And we just wanted them to be able to say hello to you all. Thank you very much. We had a lot of the board at the meeting all day. And
Well, that's not really, the microphone's on the TV, so.
Oh, it's from here, okay? Can I talk?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I just want to say thank you very much for having us in the village. Thank you, Julie and Laura, for your interest in BRIC PTA and for having us. It's a real privilege to be here. Excuse me, it's a real privilege to be here. I'm here with my FEMA colleagues, Paul Houle, Anastasia Yankopoulos, Nick Kahn. We are here to work with Owego. FEMA has a lot of infrastructure money available from our disaster relief fund. It's a really unique federal program where we have FEMA's mission overall is to help protect people before, during, and after a disaster. We're lucky to be here at the before part, where we're here to help assess what are your natural hazard needs, where are your flood risks, and how can FEMA funding help meet the goals of your community to make Owego a resilient, safe place for now and for future generations. So I just want to say, with humility, thank you all very much for having us. We're really looking forward to working with you. We had a really productive day today, meeting with many of you, and we're looking forward to in the future continuing to meet with you and looking forward to see where this partnership goes. So I'm not sure if there's anything else to add, but
I'm good.
Happy to answer any questions if there's any from the board.
I think that answered everything. Earlier. No, we're gonna.
If we talked all day.
Well, thank you very much. Looking forward to it, and thank you again for having us in your community.
Is it impolite if I head home?
No, you're good.
Very nice visiting you.
Thank you.
Several of you were there today, so thank you.
Thank you. Nice meeting you. Been released. All right. Now we'll go back to our regular schedule, public comment. Over again.
have two things. One, I'd like to thank everyone for helping with the trunk and treat, at Station 3. It was a huge success this year. I mean, we knew we had over 300 kids, but one of my trunkers told me she had about 500 went through. So, and Fran was there for 3 hours manning the candy dish. But I'd really like to put a thank you out to Chief Eric Hawkins and Chief Joe Kennedy. Joe, I don't know if you saw the news last night, but in Broome County, they actually had candy come in with razor blades in it. So your officer for me was the biggest benefit of the night. So the other thing is December 7th. That's the food drive that we do every year. Anyone on the board that would like to help with it, we can always use manpower. All the trunks have to be unloaded and the stuff carried into the station. And then Monday, there's a few of us go down and load it all into a global truck so they can weigh it.
What
Yes,
time
I
on,
do, I already checked.
what time on the seventh, do you know?
7th is 9 to 3, and it doesn't have to be the full time. If people can donate an hour to come down and help unload trucks and stack. We sort the food into categories because that way Sister Mary, when she gets it over to Girl Ministry, doesn't have to. And we found out the first year we ran this, they have to weigh everything. When you donate something, they have to weigh it. The first year we ran this, we had 4,000 pounds of food. They had a scale about 2 foot square that they weighed it on. After that, we decided truck, Weitzman's, and weigh the food. So it saves them a lot of time, and if we sort it, it saves them a lot of time. So manpower is important, and appreciate any help we can get from the village. OPD, fire company, and EMS are going to be sponsoring it this year.
Is it at Station 3?
It'll be at Station 3.
And what time?
Starts at 9, runs to 3.
I put it on my calendar. I got nothing that day, so I'll be there.
I do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who else we got?
I'm Julie Lamb. I was here on the 21st, about my sister's bench, just following up with that. If you want to take one and pass it around. It's just, I met with Fred and we discussed the location and responsibility for the memorial bench that will be placed in Draper Park. My sisters and I will be responsible for any damage that occurs to the bench, and we will repair it if needed. Fred agreed that they would take care of the maintenance, such as mowing and weeding around it. The bench will be about 4 to 6 feet long and be placed on a concrete slab. Just please let us know if you need anything else from us. We are planning to have this bench installed in the spring with Neil Lewis doing all the work. Thank you for your time and support, allowing us to memorialize our sister Janice.
Debbie,
Yeah.
let us know who you are, like we don't know.
All right. So for those who do not know or already know who I am, my name is Sebby F. Truesdale. I am the ambassador of Owego / Tioga County, but officially Owego. So I do like to make a public comment about my actual birthday and my birthday party. So I do have not just one birthday party, but 2 birthday parties. So on November 30th, I tried to, uh, I tried to make my birthday party be over at the Owego Nazarene Church, but it did not work out. But someone who is a band leader of Travis Twang, her name is Shauna Adams. She told me that she booked or rented a hall at the Owego American Legion, post 401, located on 263 Front Street. And I would like to let everybody know that on November 27th at 7:30 p.m., it's going to be my first part of the birthday celebration at the Owego Nazarene Church. So for the first part at the Owego Nazarene Church that we'll be having is an ice cream social dessert potluck and the Sebi Scoops. And second, for November 30th, which is on a Saturday, it's going to be at 12 noon to 6 p.m. at the Owego American Legion. So I've been told that we'll have the food truck provided by Aaron and Jenna Fairfield. So I'm really assuming the food truck will make it to my second part of my birthday party, because the second part is going to be a huge one. It will be at noon to 6 on November 30th, from noon to 6. Not just that, but we'll also have pizza, cake, ice cream, and there will be live music as well. So I know Travis Twang is definitely one of them. They'll be there to the Owego American Legion to perform. So, and also maybe some more Sebi Scoops if interested. For my second part of my birthday party on November 30th, from noon to 6. Also, more fun. And I do like to say that my actual birthday is on November 27th. My birthday is going to be on the 4th Wednesday of this month. So I will be turning a quarter century old at the age of 25. Once again, I'm going to become a quarter century old. And if you don't know what an ambassador is, that's who I am. So I go to like almost every event in downtown or even the town of Owego, promote it, been taking so many great photos, and sometimes I do videographs, and I post them onto my Facebook and to my YouTube channel. So once again, I would like to let all of you know that everybody, all are invited to come on over to my 2 birthday parties. One is going to be at the Owego Nazarene Church on November 27th at 7:30 p.m., which is on a Wednesday. And the second is going to be a big, huge party, a community party, and it'll be on Saturday, November 30th at noon till 6.
Thanks, Debbie. Maybe Mike and I could be at your party for your birthday. We can give you a
Oh, not just that, I would also would like to make you and Mayor Mike as one of the co-hosts, or two of the co-hosts, for my birthday party for November 30th.
I accept.
Do you want to say how they can find you on Facebook and YouTube and stuff? What is search for?
Well, on Facebook, well, my Facebook is kind of private, so people, so I decided to make it public. Well, people can still follow me, find me, add me as a friend on Facebook. You can also see my posts from the Village of Owego page, or on the group. So my Facebook name is Sebby S. Truesdale, Sebby, S period, and Truesdale, not the LE, but the IL. And for my YouTube, I have two YouTube channels. So one is with my regular name where I archive my videos. So I have like around 370 subscribers for this. And my main channel YouTube name is Sebby Truesdale SST, my identificials. And I do have, I'm gonna have to say like 4.65K, which is like over 4,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel.
More people in the village.
He actually puts a lot of good stuff.
Yes, he does. He's an excellent photographer too.
Always loves Sebby's posts.
Did you bring your business cards?
Well, I only got one. It's in my vest.
Well, we know who you are. We follow
We
you.
get something.
We got you.
Pick up the business cards at your birthday party, okay?
Make sure you print some more if you need more.
You can find some of my business cards throughout stores in Owego and restaurants in Owego, or even bars and coffee bars.
Carol, that's a lot of them. Awesome. Pretty good cards.
Thank you, Sandy.
You good? Anything else? Lady?
Nadine Bixby, 244 Main Street. Tonight I come to you representing the Tioga Arts Council. I'm reaching the end of my term on the board of directors as well as my term as president of this important 501c3 that has been serving the village of Owego and surrounding Tioga County for 52 years. We are the central platform for arts and culture for the 48,000 residents of Tioga County. We are focused on supporting local artists, musicians, and writers. Our office is in downtown Owego at 179 Front Street, and I want to personally thank the mayor and the trustees for all the support for these many years. Besides the beloved Concerts in the Park series every summer, we have a particular commitment to serve underrepresented and underserved constituents, as embodied in our Beyond the Gallery initiative. We sponsor youth services such as Art a la carte, which provides free art enrichment activities to children at summer meal sites, free art packs to local students from families of lesser means through recommendations from local educators, and art education outreach where we place local and regional artists to teach in libraries and community centers, and creating a youth gallery at 179 Front Street, which has displayed original work by 340 young artists since 2023. We also network and partner with community services such as Catholic Charities Tompkins Tioga to fund lead projects for men and women in transitional housing in Tioga County. The Memory Maker Project, which brings the arts into the lives of aging adults and people living with memory loss and cognitive issues. and public art projects such as the You Are Here mural and the new mosaic alleyway on North Avenue for all to enjoy. We have been successful in being awarded several grants, such as the DRI grant to help us rehabilitate our gallery and office space. A Fannie C. High Charitable Trust grant helped us renovate the back portion of our building into the youth gallery and community space. And the Community Foundation of South Central New York's Art Fund seeded our new retail space. These are just some of the grants that we've been awarded over the years, and they help us keep our heads above water and to expand our services to reach more people. Earlier today, our Executive Director, Christina DiStefano, submitted a letter of intent to the Preservation League of New York State for its 2025 Preservation Opportunity Fund grant for replacing the rubber roof and other external repairs on our 1860 historic building, located in the heart of the village's commercial district and situated under the protection of the Owego Central Historic District since 1980. We face tough competition as always, but we know we passed all the eligibility requirements. Last week, I called the grant manager of the Preservation League of New York to clarify some points of the application process. This is when she surprised me by saying, I hear that you are having problems in the historic district with local governments supporting the decisions of the OHPC. You see, one of the requirements to be considered for this rare capital project grant is that the proposed exterior work must comply with the Secretary of the Interior standards for treatment of historic properties. The Preservation League knows that the village has a Historic Preservation Commission, the OHPC, whose guidelines are based upon the Secretary's standards, and that is required by our local preservation ordinance, Chapter 126 of Village Code. The Preservation League also notes that our village has earned the designation of a certified local government, a CLG. Only municipalities with preservation commissions can apply for the CLG status. Any work done on our building has to be approved by the OHPC in order to get a building permit. The state agencies who grant our taxpayer funds back to us keep track of all of this. The agencies need to have faith and proof that our preservation ordinance is followed and supported by our mayor and trustees and the OHPC commissioners. Applications that cannot assure compliance are rejected. I was pleased to reassure the grant manager that the village government supports our preservation law. If I had not made that phone inquiry, I would not have had the chance to clear that up. So this is a reminder to all of us that we are all connected and impacted by each other's decisions. Historic preservation is one of our village's unique attributes. The more I travel to other historic districts across the nation, the more I understand that what we have here is not replicated anywhere else. You, our trustees and mayor, need to remember that the precious grant monies that we have earned, once again, our own tax money coming back to us, can dry up if there is a perception or reality that our local laws are not being followed. We can watch those tax dollars going to other historic districts and communities. At a grant conference, I learned that grants are graded on a rubric, sometimes 1 to 100 points. Applicants who hold a CLG are frequently given 25 points right off the bat. This puts our application right to the top of the pile for consideration. A CLG is earned, it is not automatically given out. We had to go through a rigorous process to attain our CLG. Just having historic commission is not enough. CLG benefits the entire village, not just the historic district. So all your decisions and actions have a rippling effect. You may not be aware of how they affect the grant application of a small nonprofit, such as the Tioga Arts Council, but they do. Once again, thank you for your support and all the work that you do for the village of Owego. Pass that down to Rob.
Yes, thank you. All right, anybody else? Public comment? Roger?
Hi, RJ. I was here last meeting. I think you probably recognize me by now. But I just wanted to check in and kind of see where the village might be on formally recognizing the EMS department and kind of, what that might look like in timeline. Just so it doesn't get put off and keep getting put off.
I know we've been talking about it.
Okay.
So definitely been conversations about it. Anybody else?
Hey, Adam, see the traffic light down there at Church and Main says, under study for removal. When you guys remove it, can you at least keep a little blinking light above there as a stop sign, or as a little stop light in addition to the stop sign? I'm just so used to looking up there and seeing a light that I can just see people just flying through that intersection. It's like, oh, it ain't got no light there, so right through. And, I can already tell it's gonna happen because I was sitting there the other day and people are stopping at the flashing yellow. I'm like, let's go back to driving school. So, yeah,
Change the menu.
when you guys take it down, if you could just put just a flashing red light up there on all sides, that'd be kosher.
That's another thing that we got on.
Be cool.
Part of the study.
Famous traffic light.
I also like to talk about that squirrel that was euthanized. No.
Very good. Any other public comment?
Well, maybe there is.
All right. Shall we? Talk about anything public comment? So let's go to department head reports quick. Fire. How's that?
January to October, so far we're at 280 calls, which is a 2% increase from last year. The ladder truck arrived safely in Albany on Saturday, and they've already started working on it this morning and today.
Do we have any idea what that might,
It's gonna be 3 weeks before we know
how much it's gonna cost us?
but the estimate's still in the 25K range. We participated in the Boys and Girls Halloween Party. We did fire prevention for OES with approximately 595 students. Sponsored and participated in the Owego Appreciation Night at Park Park. We did the Tide County HHS Halloween bucket truck, and we hosted the trunk or treat event in the flats, had out candy, cider, coffee, donuts, and that's it for other things that we wouldn't do. I reached out to NICEAG about the construction. They asked if we could go with a contractor and ask if they can scaffold the sides and the back and then put an anti-fall on the front, because it's just a roof in place, not the tower.
The scaffolding was for the tower repair,
Okay.
so I don't know, but we can ask them that.
Okay. That's what they asked. We could reach out, find out if that is possible.
Is there actual NICEAG deals? Or the.
Some contacts I have.
Oh, okay.
I reached out to,
Okay.
and they asked scaffolding on the three sides and then anti-fall.
Okay.
If that's the case, then.
Okay, so I will pass that on to James. Let's see.
Okay. I really like to get my roof done.
I think we all want
We all
to.
do.
Yes, we're all after that.
It's still leaking, it's still mold and so it's got noise.
7 years we've been after this.
It's needed a roof for 7 years too, or maybe longer.
I guess it.
Do you have any ideas about some new trucks?
No, I'm still researching that. Yeah, not new, it'd be used. Still, I'm trying to see if I can trade two for one. Veolia water, I'm still working with that to get that.
Oh,
With my next.
okay, good.
We have a burn ban,
And there's a burn ban, March
which
12th.
we need to have.
And the fire today was not a result of burning,
No, it was a tree.
so everybody knows. Tree
Right.
fell on a power line.
But,
It wasn't in Owego, was it?
no, but it's
Oh,
still,
yeah.
I mean, you saw it took a Friday night, like, it's
Got
easy
started from a
to catch
muffler,
things.
so that was
Right.
easy.
Right.
I gotta get mine fixed, but that wasn't me.
Today was a down tree, took down a wire and started a large section of woods.
Yeah.
That sounded like an interesting, I mean, a lot of departments, including us.
We went all the way up there.
Yeah, I looked up on the map, it was not close.
No, not at all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. EMS. Good evening. So for October, we had 124 calls, about 13 of them were mutually that were given. We don't have any new members of resignations. As far as the vehicles go, 2031's got 20,000 miles. No vehicle issues, just a stretcher issue. Talk about that in a minute. 2032 is 145. Check engine light just came on today, but it's not affecting performance, so we're gonna keep using it. 2033, 160,000 miles. Had radiator issues, we just got those fixed, so that's good. 2034, the graphics are complete. And right now it's at the village getting some other work done. So Fred and his team are working hard to do a new oil change and swapping out lights with bad and that kind of stuff. Our new video laryngoscopes. We learned today that FedEx tried to deliver a package to us, but the crew was out on a call and couldn't accept the package and sign for it. So RJ is diligently working to see if we can get the package tomorrow. Fingers crossed. We think it might be the rest of the video laryngoscope stuff that we need, but we'll find out once we get it. I signed a contract with Cop Medics to service and fix our stretchers and auto load devices on all our ambulances. The contract we did was for just 3 ambulances per se, because we're going to be sending one out for rechassis and then the other one. So in theory, for the next year, we're only going to have 3 ambulances in service. So he's going to come up and go through all 4 of them, but we're going to basically, we've got to pay for all the upkeep up front to get them up to the standards they need to be and replace parts, that kind of stuff. With a broken stretcher, off the cuff, he was saying it'd be like $3,000 for rebuilding it, but we won't know until they come and look at it. It may just be low lead fluid. So we've got to see how that goes. But we are trying to put this preventive maintenance program in place for these stretchers so that way they can live a little bit longer than the manufacturer wants them to. We also have a team that's going to be looking into our monitor situation because they're reaching their end of life. So we've got to put together a plan as to how we're going to do it, what we're going to do, that kind of stuff, figure out our options. Hopefully we can get some grant money and that kind of stuff to support it as well. As we know, last meeting, we got some of our equipment and stuff back, but we are still short a mobile radio for the new truck and we're short pagers. So just want you guys to know that we have this problem. Don't know what the easy fix is going to be.
Are those all going to change when the county goes digital?
Yes.
So that sucks if we buy some stuff.
Yes.
Only good for a year.
Yes, it's only good for a year.
I have some in company two program.
All right.
With
Then we'll talk afterwards. So we have the shortage of the equipment. Also, our narcotics license, trying to get a hard copy of it. That, we'll talk about that later. Okay. We have our banquet coming up on 11/9. And we also had members that came down to the station and handed out candy at Central Station while the fire department was at Station 3. We had some folks there handed out candy to those that walked by. So that was good. And then the other piece that I wrote down, you guys are going to take care of that later. And then I just put on the back, the old business of the sewer issues with the rain and drain and that kind of stuff at the station, just so we don't lose it somewhere.
Yeah, that's an issue for sure.
I forgot to mention that today.
Yeah.
That on my list.
So, and I'm sorry, Laura, but I completely forgot to write down your meeting today when you told me last time because I wasn't planning on being here. But then last weekend I was told that my plans changed, so I was here this afternoon. I'm like, crap, I should have gone to that.
Right, well, it's planned separately. We've got 3 years to work on it.
Good.
Plenty of meetings.
All right. Any questions at this time?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Fred?
I'm not gonna go over everything we did this week, but I just wanna catch you up on all the stuff that has been done with our big projects. The old DPW office is just about done with the new siding and roofing. We're 5 pieces short, so that's done and saves a lot of money on that. The next thing is, everybody knows by now, cemetery is done. Came out great, other than the ditch going up in is gonna get more rock, it's a big drop off, so we need to put more rock in that. But other than that, that's pretty good. And my next thing, I really need a question or answered, is the 4-way stop. What we wanna do.
Rusty?
The Traffic and Safety Committee have gone in a number of times and looked at that intersection, looked at that light, and have a preliminary recommendation that, we immediately install stop signs on Church Street as we're still deciding what the final choice is going to be with the light, whether we're gonna have it, we gotta wait 90 days to get rid of it anyways. So we believe it would be, and Fred asked earlier in the week if he could do that, which is not our authority to tell him he could or couldn't. He wants to put them there, and so we recommend that the stop signs go on Church Street, both sides, and I move that we allow Fred to do that, if we need that motion for that.
I don't know if we do or not.
Well, I'll do it then.
Okay.
Dave, you wanna say anything about that? Just that piece.
No. Okay. I know I've had, this is just a general topic, but I've had a bunch of residents reach out to me to say that they want the light to stay as a light. I think it needs to be there for safety, so that's something I think about. Right now, the stop signs don't hurt to help, what's going on there with the yellow and the red.
We believe that's gonna help for safety right now. That was your recommendation, right, Fred?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I do believe that in the near future, it should be a four-way stop, and I do like the idea, in addition to stop signs, having flashing light, flashing red on all the way around.
Well,
We're gonna be hard to do.
Yeah.
This is just for this.
But right now, there's two stop signs on Church Street to reinforce what the light is doing.
Right.
So, let's vote on those two stop signs. Brandon?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Dave? And yes.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Since we can't get it to work.
Well, we can get it to work, but it's gonna cost
Well, I
a
mean,
lot of money.
we can't get it to work tomorrow, so
No,
that's,
that's true. Yeah, okay.
well, at least clear up the way it,
Then the stop sign, or stop bars will be on the road too, and the intersection will be redone. We gotta wait until this week, it's sometime it's up 60, but,
well, I had another painting thing too.
excuse me?
Somebody else, there's another spot, maybe we wanted to paint some lines, but I'll message you about it. I don't remember.
Yeah. Because of time of day.
Oh, the railroad by Erie Street.
Erie Street, okay.
When you come over the tracks, can we paint like
The stop
middle
line.
line, because people cut the corner, and a bunch of people have got hold of me because they almost got nailed. I mean, it's been
So
that
if
way
you're
for
coming
30 years.
over the tracks,
And
heading
turning
toward
left.
east, okay.
And people are turning left the other way, they,
What's lane identification.
right, paint a stop line at the end and.
On Erie Street
Erie Street and Main Street.
and Main
It's
Street.
made so they don't cut the corner.
Yeah, we do that.
Because people go past where you should on Erie Street, and then people coming over the tracks cut the corner.
Yeah.
It's gonna be warm.
Yeah.
And we got the paint.
And we got, about everybody out doing leads right now.
Right.
It's,
If you're painting anyway.
yeah, do the intersection, get it painted. Yes,
We
sir.
can move that blinking light to the corner of the Erie Street.
Yeah, right.
Got a point there, Charles.
Mayor, can I ask a question? It's out of order, I know, but.
Yes.
And the stop signs that you're talking about putting there, I agree with them. When I was on the board, we were looking at making this a four-way stop. The question I've got is, the stop signs are there, are very specific, but a flashing red light says stop, go. So is there a little combat there? Would you be better off to leave the stop signs on Church as proposed, and then disable that light? That makes Main Street a thoroughfare, period. You set on Church and on each side, specifically waiting. There is no confusion between the two. That would be my only real concern of leaving both of them in. There's a little bit of dichotomy there.
But watching that intersection a lot of people stop at the yellow and make more of a headache
Bingo.
than if it was just a four-way.
Yeah, and if you put the signs on Church, as you're talking about, which is a good idea, and then just disable that light. Main Street becomes just a straight thoroughfare.
Yeah, but I think you're looking for more problems there, because everybody got more confused.
Well, along the lines of what Earl's saying, I had one of the police officers ask me that, like, what if that happens?
Yeah.
Like, what do they write it as? Do they write it as, well, you know, because there's, and then when it goes to court, the defense is gonna throw it the, whatever way we write it, the other way. and
But,
say-
but each one has a very specific purpose. The stop is very firm, where the red light gives incremental judgment call. So I think I got time, I'm going. Anyhow, sorry about that. We'll have to be someplace else anyhow. I'm gonna get out.
Well, you
Thanks,
can
Earl.
put a sign up saying four-way ahead.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, they did. That was part of my, what I wanted to do.
Yeah, so they should be aware, that's this. Oh, there was, the situation with the parking, because, well, would that help, because cars are parked?
Well, that was my, oh, sorry, glad you brought that up, because my next question, part of that is, all right, so if you're on Church Street, from the VFW turning west, that parking spot needs move up towards VFW. And then we need one brought up farther from by the theater, if you're by AutoZone coming to stop sign, because you can't see around that corner.
Right.
And that's another thing, before I go, that should be made for the people that are stopping on Church Street.
Right.
So if I can have your blessing, move the stop, no park from here to corner up a little bit farther. Take that, and then like Rusty said.
I think we'll make it so you can be able to see.
Correct.
That's my opinion.
If you'll wait for it, the traffic committee will have a recommendation on a number of things, but we're not prepared right this second to do that. Recommend it to second.
Do you know the situation with the not being able to see?
I've spent hours there. We have some recommendations.
Because my wife almost got nailed.
We have some recommendations.
Thanks, Fred.
Yep.
Thank you.
You don't see anything else on the agenda for you guys?
See ya.
Yep. All right, do we have anything from police department? I didn't talk to Joe since they appreciate you.
I don't have anything, Mike, Joe was back, but couldn't find him today.
Yeah, I know he was down at his doctor's appointment. For the clerk's office, you got anything? We didn't get anything from sewer, right? You didn't hear from anything, Dave?
No.
I forgot.
I mean, he was in the office today, but there was nothing.
If he has you for us, please. I didn't get the communication. Old business, we have discussed demolition process for 122 Green Street. I don't know what we're supposed to discuss, Fred left.
Did the time period expire for that, or is that,
So, Ms. We had to serve her that, and if it's not expired yet, it's gonna be expired really soon. So the board, I think, took action beginning of September. My office got the certified resolution from Rod's office, I think end of September or so. And so then we needed to get that served on her in Florida. I don't have.
Fred doesn't have anything about the demolition.
Okay. I'll have to double check when that person was served, but it should have been early to mid-October, so it'll be at least 30 days. I don't remember if we did 30 days or 60 days. It should be coming up soon, so we'll probably end up taking action in December, I guess.
Okay.
so we're just following the process, and
Yep.
once, we get the notification, then we'll see how to function.
Yeah, so you folks have already authorized us to file a lawsuit, assuming that she doesn't apply, which seems likely. And so we'll just immediately apply this to Supreme Court, work with Fred and Nick and Terry to just get the court paperwork together, apply, and then likely we will get an order from a judge
until March, would be my guess, earliest.
Probably next spring.
Probably spring before we can actually get in there. The judge, because she's in Florida, served her, the judge might give her, an extra opportunity to come and appear. And then usually before the judge would give us direct permission, they'll give her an additional 30 or 60 or 90 days to take action herself. We'll have to serve it on her and then show the judge that we did serve her and that she hasn't done anything. So that's why it's in the process.
There's safety ribbon around that property now to keep people out, seeing it as a safety issue. I don't know. That was a good question, because I've had a couple people ask me about, what's going on with it, or when it's gonna be demolished. 'Cause it's not safe, and especially if it's not until next spring if we get snow on it, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a structural engineer, but I don't know what's gonna happen.
I mean, if we have reason to fear imminent collapse, then we could apply to the court immediately and say, oh, we've got concern that it's literally about to fall over in the next week or two. But I mean, we would need Brett to go take a look at it, possibly get an engineer to come in and look at it also. I mean, again, if it's like, no, it's gonna collapse immediately, I'd say go and knock it down and then ask forgiveness. But again, how long has it been like this? And
Since the summer, so it's still standing.
it's still standing.
Yeah, the fire was 3/11, and I stated, I have in my notes that on August 21st, 2024, search for Mrs. Stigler in Florida, that would be demolished within 60 days.
Yeah, that was the notice of the hearing that was held on
Okay.
September 3rd, I think.
Okay, so we're getting close, John, we must be close.
Yeah, it's gotta be coming right up.
Yeah.
Discussion on Marvin Park bathroom. So James was supposed to be here, but it's apparently his wife's birthday. But we also don't have any info, so the only information we have is we have all of the local and state variances, building permits, all that kind of stuff. We've asked the contractor if there's any additional costs to build the bathroom, and they haven't gotten back to us yet. So things would be much help if he was here, because he doesn't, like, that's the update he has. The main thing that he wants us to talk about or think about is the additional money that we have left that right now is in the waterfront project. Do we want to do a little bit of the waterfront project, or do we want to take that money and do streetscaping where the art park was gonna be? And he needs that answer before we file all the state budget amendments.
I think we discussed that, right? That we want to do something to make that look a little better than what it looks now.
Do something along.
Yeah, along North Avenue near the steamer house.
Personally, I would vote for the North Avenue stuff over the
You know
waterfront.
how much money is left there?
Well, you were gonna ask me that. 150,000.
About 150, okay.
There was like 140 for the art, and there was like about 50 for the remaining waterfront money.
I wanna say like 180 something, 90.
Yeah, so we got the options of what, what was left, on the waterfront options. So like we could potentially put in one water spout for cleaning.
I think that was like 30 grand maybe.
Yep, we could do
Yeah, which is
some work
crazy.
at the boat launch. And there was a third option that was priced too much.
Yeah.
So like, we wouldn't really get much out of our remaining money because we don't have enough to like complete any one project in a really good way. So, it probably would be good to combine it to have more money for the art. And I would like to get us going with like, getting our group together and talking about.
Right, well, that needs to happen.
Moves.
I spoke to 2 of those people today. That we need to get on there. Can I ask you a quick question about the money? I'm confused a little bit. Do we have 150 for the riverfront, and then the 150 we have for the art? We don't have both of those.
We got like 180 for the whole deal.
180 for the 2, okay. Because we had to decided that we wanted the art to just be the thing. We decided we want something on North Avenue, we hadn't decided we want to spend all our money on that, which we can decide. We had.
Jimmy also had some good.
Um, you know, so just those sorts of things. I mean, some of those things are low budget, like these such in, but some of it's a little bit bigger expense. But I know it does when you start looking at that area, it's getting nicer, and then you get that view, and it's really
right. Well, I know
not great.
the state, and it's just Julie and the state, but the
Right.
state generally wants to see us clean that spot up
Right.
because of all the, not just our DRI, but a lot of the other DRIs have been done with that. And they've tried to,
We haven't done much there.
clean it up.
Right.
We have
It's sad though.
piece of
It would
junk
be
there.
nice to see our park.
Rusty?
So where are we on state permission? So we have, whatever we have 150 to 200 grand, we have some for the river walker, down there we have some for the art. Do we have now, because we were given a lot of leeway, do we have now the ability to move that as we choose without asking them each time?
No.
By move it, I mean, for the art park and putting some stuff there, we'll call it.
No, that's why we need to pick a way.
So we're gonna have to
They
get
can
their
submit
permission about what we're gonna do.
that. They need to submit that like yesterday.
I just think more eyes be on North Avenue.
Yeah.
Well, I think the waterfront stuff is already, I mean, now that it doesn't need work, but it looks good.
It looks good.
Like it, there's useful stuff there, like the post thing, but, yeah. But I think it would be better used on North Avenue. Rusty?
So if we get the state to allow us to move that money back to that, we'll call that the art park pit. We get them allow us to move it back there. We could do a number of things. We won't be able to put any, because we were thinking about art and all kinds of other places in the village. That would not happen. But we can put some art there, and we can call what we put up on the fence with murals or whatever, art. And if we get to move it back there, we could do a little bit of paving inside there that was supposed to be a parking lot, and maybe pave it in there, whatever we can get and whatever we feel like. Farmer's market or something that we could do some other things, if we move it all back over there.
I wouldn't get your hopes too high, because we
No,
know
I'm
how
not.
far the money goes, but yes.
Yeah, no, but it just gives us some options over there.
We've not ever moved it out of, like, the state hasn't approved any of that, so it would just really be.
So they didn't approve all the money we spent at Marvin to move out of there, that's good, all right.
It moved into the waterfront budget.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we wanna, make a motion to, before Francis makes a motion?
Okay.
Motion to, yeah, I always slow her down on motions. To move all that money back to North Avenue Art Park pit.
I mean, James would like us to do something, to tell him
To do so.
which way to go.
But,
really.
but we also, if we have to pick a number if we're not gonna move it all.
Right. I mean, he doesn't need it like tonight, but that's, they need it.
Just try to slow you down a little bit, so you know exactly what we're doing.
I would be in favor of moving it all back.
It might be good to just call it art instead of naming it back at the location.
Streetscape improvement.
Yeah.
The motion doesn't have to have the word pit in it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's a North Avenue.
North Avenue streetscape improvements. And then it could be used anywhere.
Could be any place in that whole chunk.
Labeling it like art streetscape improvements would be better.
Is that your resolution?
Do a fence line or.
But we can also, we wanna be able to do some inside it if we so choose. We wanna.
Well, and I will say, like, our DRI projects have to be contained within the DRI projects they gave us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, we couldn't do streetscape down the street, or, you know what I mean?
Has to
No,
be that
right there.
location.
But like say we originally offered a whole bunch of locations where we could have things, so labeling it just streetscape. We could, like depending on how much money we have,
locate art in a different spot, so we could use Draper Park, we could use the courthouse lawn, we could use the
And if that's the
North
state on
Ave,
this.
because
Mike
all
Mike
of
was
those
just saying
were
that's
on
what
our
we can't
list.
do.
If I can offer a suggestion, my takeaway from the brief discussion I had with the state was they really want to see in whatever approval they issue to reallocate monies amongst the various projects, they want to see something done at the art park. Right? So,
I will be making a motion in just a moment that we move the money that's left over, whatever that number is, however we do it, and Frank can make a motion, back to the art park project.
Right.
So it's not saying anything there, just back to that project.
I think that will help our approval with moving all the rest of the money for the state too, because they want to see that.
Will that satisfy your ability, want it detailed?
And Fran, second.
Fran, you wanna make that motion? Oh, no.
Sure,
Second.
second.
Oh, I did not. You gotta listen to me, I said it.
Obviously, we're gonna change the scope a lot from what we were thinking, because the budget's way different.
That's the motion that we move.
Anything will make it look.
We move, do we know how much the money is?
I wouldn't put a number in there.
That we move the remaining money held for art and for the, what's the other thing now?
Riverfront.
The waterfront, remaining money is unspent for art and waterfront, back to the art park. Location.
North Avenue.
That remaining money may
North
change.
Avenue Art Park location.
That remaining money may change based on what happens with the bathroom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is another thing they're kind of waiting.
Should you get that kind of?
Okay, I seconded it.
Okay, shall we vote on that? Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Dave? Yes. Fran?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
And yes. Okay, so I'll pass that on to James, at least they had somewhat of a direction. And, we'll try and push, Streeter, figure out what they're doing with the lake. We've given them the green light, we said, you only need our approval if you're gonna charge us more. And they said, yeah, we're gonna charge you more, but they haven't told us how much. So, that was 2 weeks ago, we started asking for that. All right, next thing is transfer from court security to part-time police. We do this every year because our police provide this court security. So just move it from one budget to the other. Okay.
I'll motion to approve, the transfer
As presented.
as presented, yeah, court security appropriation to the police part-time appropriation.
That's second.
Any discussion, questions? Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Dave? Yes. Fran?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
Yes. And payment of bills? Everybody get them? Any questions?
I looked through them,
Did you pay,
Go for it.
did you pay the cable internet bills? We had problems with that.
That's county IT. We don't even have cable anymore.
Something went wrong.
motion approved, as presented.
Second?
I'll second.
Any questions on it? My only comment is, I think next month expect us to do this twice, once in each meeting.
Accidentally walked into the room with the auditors and
All right.
talked to them for some time.
Right. That's why we're probably doing it at every meeting.
And they're probably gonna come and, wanna talk to the community about it.
Mhm. They will eventually.
They don't want to.
Oh, they will eventually. They'll ask me a good question about the bills. They ask me a lot.
We won't tell them where to find you.
All right, let's vote on the bills. Fran?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Dave? Yes. And yes.
Paying $2,000 to the Arts Council tonight.
Yes, we are.
Oh, really?
That happened this, I mean, we do it every year, but it happened to me in this one.
Thank you again. I did not know that.
Do you know how to spell Bixby?
We do the library, the arts council, the boys and girls.
You do support us every year. I knew that.
No, it's in the budget, it's just, it just happened to happen this meeting. Minutes are the next thing.
I didn't get to send mine in. I saw it, that I have in my spot, but I didn't do it, so.
Okay.
You can send that.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna approve of your send-ins.
You didn't have that much of it.
Yeah,
Make a motion?
I read them so long ago, I can't remember.
I gave you a copy.
You can quickly look them up, yeah, you had to get ready.
I know, I already looked at them, but I can't.
Soup Nazi says you have to be ready.
That's right, no soup for you.
It's November, you have to have sleep.
Move to approve the minutes with large corrections.
Well, I just wanna send in my report and that's it, that was the only thing. Okay, everything else was fine.
I'll second that.
Sign that, abstain.
Yep.
We don't like, any other discussion on the minutes? We don't like your corrections, we'll take it back next time. Yeah, all right.
No, it was
Approve them with
really good.
whatever Laura sends in. Rusty, yes. Laura?
Yes.
Dave? Yes. Fran?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
And yes. Okay. Do we want to do anything else? What do we do?
Where did we get out of the bathroom? I'm not paying attention.
We don't really have a, we're waiting for them to tell us how much more it's going to
Okay, I'm
cost.
sorry, I was out.
But we have all the approvals. Local and state. We're just waiting on that. And they were supposed to come count, which I don't know if they did or not, but they were supposed to come verify the materials that are over there, that have been over there, that are still there.
I think maybe they did. I had somebody tell me earlier today that they saw somebody working over there. So,
Right.
yeah.
So they were trying to verify that none of their stuff walked away. We want to talk about EMS structure?
Go for it.
Get a resolution.
I think it's, you want to broach the topic here, Mike?
Yeah.
The first resolution, the long one, is, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, um, as you all know, RJ has come to several meetings now in a row, asking the village board to consider doing something along, to provide maybe more clarity, guidance, things like that to the volunteer individuals providing services to the EMS department. I've talked with Mike about options for what that could look like. I'll just say generically, I'm not a fan of putting that type of thing into the village code. The village code is very difficult to change. It requires a local law. Your EMS department was created by resolution. And so you can change it by resolution. I do think that it's a good idea to revisit the resolution that initially created the EMS department. To the extent that there's a request for some additional clarity, I think, and I've put together a resolution that kind of spells out some of the responsibilities of what the department head is supposed to be doing. And then one of the things that I think will also be worthwhile, and it was part of the conversation, which Rusty will probably remember, in addition to possibly Mayor Mike, Charles, Fran, and Laura, because I think you were all board members at the time. When the EMS department was created, the decision at that time was to choose, or have the village board have the membership rather, elect a person to serve as what was called the captain at the time. I understand it's been changed at some point in the years, be the chief. Elect that person and then offer that person to the village board for approval, which is kind of a mirror of the way the fire department is set up. Nothing required the village to do that. Fire departments are creatures of state statute. The process is in state. organization that's providing the services and the village chooses to not directly appoint or pay their own chief. So I understand why you folks at the time felt that was, kind of how it was happening, let's leave it alone. One of the things that you could have done then was say, no, what we're going to do is appoint, basically follow the normal state law regarding how officers and employees of the village of Owego are chosen. So the default under the state law is that the mayor is the appointing authority. The mayor chooses who will be employees or officers of the village of Owego, and then the mayor's appointment is subject to the village board's approval. So that's the default provision of state law. So in my opinion, I think going back to that default mechanism under state law is a potential option for you and gives the village board kind of just more, and the mayor, more authority, more say, more control over who is going to be a department head in the village of Owego. It's how your department heads in every other department except the fire department are chosen. And again, the fire department is its own special creature.
Because it's chartered by the state.
For two reasons, chartered by the state in 1862. And also state law just gives special status to fire departments. So there's a resolution that I prepared, just for discussion purposes, which sets out the history of the EMS department, and I can kind of briefly read it. So March 4th, 2019, that's when the village board authorized the creation of an emergency medical services department under GML 122B, which would take effect May 1st, 2019. On March 19th, 2019, the village board authorized an organizational structure for the EMS department as one volunteer captain who would report directly to the mayor and the board, as many other individuals as would be designated by the village board from time to time as paid employees. Village board provided that the EMS department captain, after the initial appointment of an active captain, would serve a one-year term beginning May 1st, and be chosen by the volunteer members of the EMS department, subject to review and approval by the village board. And then basically, now therefore be it resolved that the EMS department chief would instead be appointed by the mayor, subject to approval by the village board. And the EMS department chief would have primary responsibility for and oversight of the EMS department of the village of Owego, including but not limited to budget, scheduling of paid and volunteer staff, mediation of interpersonal conflicts, discipline, procurement, establishment of procedures and guidelines, compliance with federal, state, and local laws concerning the provision of emergency medical services, etc. And it would also be resolved that the department chief would have authority to create administrative positions to be held by volunteer staff and to delegate tasks and duties to volunteers of the EMS department and paid staff, so long as such delegation is consistent with the paid staff's job duties description statement, but would retain ultimate responsibility for the performance of those delegated tasks and duties. And that the EMS department chief would keep the mayor and village board apprised of all significant issues related to the operations of the EMS department, including but not limited to unresolved interpersonal conflicts, discipline, scheduling issues, staffing concerns, vehicle and equipment replacement programs. And then additional resolve that any prior adopted resolutions by the village board inconsistent with this resolution would be basically overruled. So that's a proposal. You don't have to do it. It's just one recommendation as to a way to try to be responsive to the request from the volunteer membership and help. And this would also have the effect of bringing back into the mayor's authority the ability to appoint a person as a department head, and then again, you folks would, as you do in the current method anyway, still act to approve the appointment. If we do it this way, this would not have a term of office anymore. It would be like, Dirk or Fred or Chief Kennedy. They become appointed. They stay on as the department head until such time as they resign or they are removed from being the department head. This idea is that right now, of course, this is a paid, is a volunteer position. It would stay as a volunteer position. So there's a pool of candidates who are all within the volunteer squad. That would be on the mayor to, however the mayor wants to figure it out. If he I assume would probably consult with all of the volunteers to figure out who they would recommend themselves, but it would be the mayor's decision to ultimately appoint somebody and come to the village board for approval. Thoughts? What do you think?
Well, one piece there is if we don't have a term, which we don't have to, then it serves as a pleasure.
Right.
Sounds like a plan moving forward.
I like it.
Remember, I had one, just because we do, so with the fire department, I did have one question about, you might have changed the language on standard operating procedures to procedures and guidelines.
I took out the reference to standard operating, it's just procedures and guidelines, which are what any department head does and not,
General stuff. And of course, once again, just so I know that, that's if we do this, that would be the head of department's obligation, responsibility. Obviously, if there was something in there that because this is not an official document in a particular way, if there was something that was controversial, then there would be oversight on that, which is just my worry that one person would have that much authority. So fine, that new language is fine with me. If that word, I can't work this, that's what we're trying to do.
Well, I would propose that the, village board accept the new guideline.
Make a motion to pass that resolution.
I'll second.
Any other discussion about that resolution?
What was the language about the procedures?
Instead of referencing standard operating procedures and guidelines, I would be taking out the phrase standard operating and just be generic procedures and guidelines.
Okay.
Establishment of procedures and guidelines.
Okay, I like that.
They have to have some authority to do that sort of stuff, but the certainly
Yeah.
have that authority.
Yeah.
Any comments on the, length of term, do we want to add anything to there, or obviously if there's a different.
Well, I don't have an issue with being real explicit about it, so we can say.
Might not be a bad idea to have a term,
Right.
1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 1. Might not be a bad idea, rather than adds a better smell to it than that pleasure of.
Do you want to say shall be annually appointed by the mayor of the village of Owego, subject to approval by the village board in accordance with New York State Village Law, section 4-400 CI.
I mean, in the past, like since 2019 and before, we were annually appointing, not appointing, but confirming them.
It would follow past practices.
Yeah.
So I do have a thing to say about that. I don't think that should be done at the annual meeting. If we elect a brand new mayor, which
That's true, yes.
he's been here 10 minutes, and at the annual meeting, he's suddenly got to figure out who the,
Do you want to do?
So later would be better.
And annually appointed at the first meeting in May. And then appointed by the mayor and served. All right, so EMS department chief would be annually appointed by and serve the pleasure of the mayor of the village of Owego, subject to approval by the village board in accordance with blah, 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 blah. Such appointment to take place at the first meeting in May.
I would prefer, once again, that mayor's only been here a month. I prefer that be, say on our fiscal change, August 1st or something, so that there would have been some time, something to give us some time there. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. But you could do it at any time.
You change it at any time.
The mayor would be able to, it's the mayor's appointment.
Like if you wanted to change that person who's in there, it doesn't tie you to that specific August, right?
I mean, if we put it in a resolution with like dates and things, then yes, it will be done around those dates. Like it's just going to be the case. I mean, by saying an annual appointment, then ordinarily that would be tied to the reorganizational meeting, which happens immediately after your election, right? Your first April meeting. Right. I mean, that's the normal time to do that. You're right.
The mayor's concern is if we pick a number and there's dissatisfaction, we don't have to hold to that year. We can do something in the middle of the year. How's that work with law?
Yeah, I mean, I think like any person who's a volunteer in this type of capacity, paid staff have civil service protections, you can't just remove them. But annual appointments, are where you serve at the pleasure, we're very express about serving at the pleasure of the mayor. And I think you've got a decent argument that if you felt a need to make a midterm switch, that you could do that.
And we also,
Not saying we're doing that, but.
no, but just, and we're also thinking along the lines of, we were asking for your advice about this. We know that to dismiss a fireman or an EMS volunteer, it has a complicated procedure, but to demote someone is not the same standard.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm saying, we wanted to rid ourselves of a department head and bring him back to a private instead of a general. We can do that. We can't dismiss him. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, not with, to remove a
remove.
member of the ambulance service.
That's,
And you need to, I think, give notice.
That's
hearing,
more.
all that stuff.
It's a bigger deal. Just check, making sure we got all those things, we know what we're doing.
So, do you want an August meeting for the time around which
Each year.
this would be happening?
That makes sense, because like Rusty says, if you go to the annual meeting and a new person comes in, like 2 years from now, or whatever, that new person has no idea. You got a million people you gotta appoint, and that's just one of your million people. You haven't had time to figure out who's who and what's going on, really.
And another play on that is, one bad thing about appointments in politics are spoils. You get a guy new elected, and he wants his guy, and even though that's not a good idea, that's not good timing for the spoils idea.
Although it sounds like he could still do it if he wanted.
Be good. Yeah. I mean,
Although the board would have to approve.
That's the whole point of the serving at the pleasure of. The mayor can just change it. So, I mean, I think there's not a lot to be gained by saying a meeting date, but if you feel like you want to, then you can. I mean,
If we don't say anything, it's presumed it's at the pleasure of.
I have added the phrase "at the pleasure of" to this. So the EMS department chief shall be annually appointed by and serve at the pleasure of the mayor of the village of Owego, subject to approval by the village board. And then this is the other language I've added. With such appointments should take place on or after the first meeting of the village of Owego in August of each year.
Okay. I take that one.
Who made the motion?
I'll say with such annual appointment.
Who made the original motion?
I know.
You withdrew that, didn't you, and then made this one? Oh, I know. Are you withdrawing that, making this one?
You're adding.
The changes there.
And the second is doing the same. Yes, go ahead.
RJ,
Would it be inappropriate for me to just make a comment?
go for it.
So I wasn't clear that Nate said a lot of words up there. I don't have them referenced. But it wasn't clear to me that, I guess, maybe it's not a problem that there's no language that says the EMS department head should be an EMT or have certain level of experience or time in the service, be a volunteer member.
It sure doesn't say that. It could be.
It doesn't, we could add those types of things, I mean, I think those are
That's a good point.
assumptions that the mayor in his discretion would choose a person, and then, of course, the village board would have the ability to say, Mayor, you're crazy for appointing a person who's not a volunteer and, from out of the service. This as written would give the maximum flexibility to the village board and the mayor to make the appointment. Again, you can put those types of things in. I think everything you just said are qualifiers that I would probably look for, but that's not my decision when it comes down to it.
I mean, you're right, down the road, I can see. I don't think anybody would do it, but you could bring, all of this, you could bring in, just a manager from somewhere. With no EMS experience, I guess, that would be bad.
And that's where, I mean, the village board, I think, would need to step in and say, no, Mayor, we're not going to accept that person. I mean, again, it's fine either way from my position. You just heard my maximum flexibility versus the more clear restraints on the mayor's authority.
I think JR is right. I would suggest that we amend that to say that the, chief has to be an EMT.
Although, I don't know because it's hard because we don't know the specific qualifications. It's like, Nate and I did a whole bunch of research on recs that are out there for paid people, and the experience you have to run paid departments as a paid person is very different, like, job request to job request. I don't know if there's a specific, like, set of requirements that you need.
Well, in order for the chief to be able to run the department, he has to know the responsibilities of the department.
Right.
If he's not an EMT, he or she doesn't understand the needs of the department.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Okay.
So at the moment, we don't have any of those qualifications.
That is true.
So what we're trying to do is take baby steps here. We'll be looking at other ideas and thoughts as we go along. What we're trying not to do is, at the seat of our pants here, in 3 seconds, make a whole bunch of decisions of other things that we might consider. We're just trying to get through this one right now. And we might very well consider all those other things. But we haven't thought about it or talked about it or done anything on that right now.
I think we should eventually have some sort of required, but
Yep.
I don't know what those, I guess where I was going, I don't know what those should be right now today.
So, I mean, if I may, the, the reason that we had suggested, mirroring the fire department is in the OES bylaws, there are requirements such as, for tenure as an EMT and some other requirements in there that are required for you to even be able to be the chief. And so that's why I think it was comfortable and it just made sense that we sent the chief to the board for consideration as department. So it was in there, it was just a layer down, which wasn't something that you guys necessarily would have seen.
And then if I may add, so in theory, there could be two different heads, well, as a regular member, looking at your organization structure, it could be two different figureheads that you could go to that might cause confusion amongst the membership. Be like, oh yes, this person's in charge of the OES department, but this one's in charge of the Owego Emergency Squad Incorporated, with our bylaws saying that, our chief is in charge of policies, procedures, and yeah, so on and so forth, which might cause confusion.
They can answer that the best.
Yeah, so, one of the things that has been evident is that there's been confusion about responsibility and authority for oversight and decision-making regarding operations of the emergency squad, of the EMS department, including the volunteers who are providing service to the EMS department. So the nonprofit does not have any operational responsibility. That they should not be setting procedures and guidelines on how to do things operationally. That should all be squarely within the Village of Owego EMS department. And so, to the extent that there's confusion about, well, the nonprofit oversight operationally and the EMS department oversight operationally, there shouldn't be any confusion. The nonprofit should not be overseeing anything operationally. I certainly understand and appreciate that the EMS nonprofit is providing all the bodies and the knowledge, and I'm not surprised of how and where that confusion might have come from. One of the efforts here, I think, is to clearly articulate what I am doing right now and placing squarely on the department chief the responsibility for running the department. You know, at the end of the day, it's like the buck stops at the department head. And, you know, getting input from the volunteers on a variety of things, I think, is something I would always recommend anybody running organizations staffed by volunteers to do. But it's not the volunteers who get to say and dictate or decide how any of that stuff actually works.
So then a question I have, and I know it's probably out of turn, but so in our bylaws on the not-for-profit side, that allows us the establishment of committees. Part of our committees is that deals with operational stuff. Would this resolution you guys coming up with prohibit volunteers from contributing ideas and working with the department head to come up with guidelines and operational procedures?
No, I think, you know, again, I think it's important that when an organization is staffed by volunteers primarily, that the organization have forums for feedback like that. You know, the distinction to understand is the department head ultimately makes the decision. And so if there's a review or advisory committee that you folks have, I don't have any issues with that.
So we can have an advisory committee, and let's say Mike's gonna be our appointed figurehead for the board. That Mike over there, the advisory committee draws up these operational guidelines and presents them to him for approval to the board. Is that correct?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so it's a similar process, just a different step. So instead of the membership voting on these operational procedures, he either just passes up or just notifies you.
Yeah, I mean, from my standpoint, what the membership does is on you. You guys want to have an advisory committee, you want to have your membership vote on things, go nuts. That's fine. You know, but whatever it is ends up with the department head, and the department head takes a look at it and goes, all right, I agree or I disagree, and I'm going to make changes, and I'm going to ultimately present a product to the village board and say, this is what I'm recommending. Here's the background of how I got here.
All right.
Fair. So I think we have a resolution that we've modified, and I don't know we've modified.
Yep, so it's the first resolve that the EMS department chief shall be annually appointed by and serve at the pleasure of the mayor of the village of Owego, subject to approval by the village board in accordance with New York State Village Law, section 4-401 CI, with such annual appointment to take place on or after the first meeting of the village of Owego in August of each year. And then the other paragraphs are the same.
So Fran made the motion. You good with that?
The motion to that.
Dave seconded, you're good with that? Second. Okay, any other discussion? Shall we vote on that resolution?
Yeah.
Steve? Yes. Laura?
Yes.
Dave? Yes. Fran?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Charles? Yes. And yes. Okay, now, since we did that, I have to appoint somebody, don't I?
Well, Mayor, there is a person who is currently holding the office of department head, Mr. Cole, and it is your authority to continue someone's service, you know, the individual serves at your pleasure with the village board's ultimate review of any appointments that you make. You actually, as the appointing authority, can remove somebody. The village board can't actually stop you from removing somebody like that, which is a fun quirk of state law.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So, Mayor, it's up to you.
All right, so I would like to pass another resolution that removes Paul Cole as chief and appoints Michael Roden as chief. I think I have to make that.
Well, the mayor would have to move that because he's the one making the appointment.
So moved. Do I have a second? Second, right? Discussion. Obviously, you guys have to approve it, so, Fran?
Well, does, Mike have any comment?
Oh, that's a good question.
although the name has changed.
Yeah, I'm gonna email. There's no clerk.
Mr. Mayor,
Rusty.
sometimes we fail in our responsibilities at this to inform people. Someone needs to immediately inform Mr. Cole and the, yeah, and the EMS, I assume Mike would inform the EMS. That needs to be done, not left in the wind at all.
Agreed. All right, trustee reports. Dave. Rusty.
Yeah, I got one this week.
You want to come back to?
First, the Traffic and Safety Committee have met and looked at the Church Street light and stop signs numerous times. Many of us have talked to, I know, to numerous people around the village. I know that there were a couple of people from Church Street that had submitted letters or something to the village office. Many different opinions. The Traffic and Safety Committee is going to recommend, I'll get to it in a second. First thing, to remove that light requires a 3-month study, so we can't remove that light tomorrow no matter what we do. So we can still be studying it as we do whatever we do in our recommendations. So there also doesn't have to be an action necessarily taken on our recommendation.
Do we have to kick off, like, do an official study? Do we have to have some, like, how do we know it was a 3-month study?
That's a good question. It's not, wherever that was written and we saw it, it was not clear unless someone else knows exactly what that study had to be or this or that.
The DOT guys might be able to help us with that.
Yep. So after looking at that and talking to people, couple of possibilities. We know that I have them all to sit down, all the possibilities, keeping a light, removing the light, having the light do this, having the light do that. There is some degree of citizen want for the light to be back as it was, red, green. That has a degree of expense, and even if we fix it, it's old and tired, so that may not necessarily solve the problem. So our recommendation is going to be that we put stop signs on Church Street, which we did. We leave the light. We have it blinking red also with the stop signs. I'm sorry, if that confuses somebody, then they're really not getting it. Blinking red and stop sign would mean the same thing. And there have been recommendations that it be read the other way. Potential trouble with it being yellow, but Main Street being a thoroughfare and that being, you don't generally stop your thoroughfares. You don't want 4-way stops at Ross and Main and at Page and Main. And so the recommendation is going to be leave the light in default at blinking red, blinking yellow. If it cracks out completely, we have the stop signs in place to give us that protection if the light doesn't work at all, so that Church Street people will stop. That's going to be our recommendation, along with the fact that we believe that sight distance is a problem. We've looked at all the ways and all the parking spaces. When you come, if I'm talking too much, tell me that's not going here anymore. When you come down the one-way of Church and you look up Main, the parking spaces are far enough. You should be able to see that well enough. We've looked. That doesn't mean that somebody won't or everything. That's pretty good. When you come down Church the 2-way, a little bit hard when you're looking up towards the theater. But I haven't talked to Mr. Coleman. Potentially, there are, you can't park in front of the theater. There's about 2 parking spaces that used to be lined out between the theater and the intersection. We were thinking maybe taking out 1 parking space. There's also, when you put those 2 in, if you don't make them monster long, there'd still be 10 or 15 feet before the intersection. Taking out a parking spot there so that you can see better coming out of the 2-way section of Church Street looking to your left. That's the only parking problem there. On the other side, coming out of Church looking to the west, the parking goes from the VFW back. There's 100 feet of parking space there. You can get about 6 cars there now. We could move that. We're going to have to change the law to do this on parking. Here at the corner, we could move that up slightly, maybe take half or a full parking space out there. We hate to lose parking. We don't like taking them out. If there was going to be any changes with the parking, to see better coming out, those would be the recommendations. That's what we're looking at, a recommendation on that. We don't have to take an action on any of that today.
Yeah, my concern is just being able to see, just because I deal with the Page Street one all the time.
We're gonna talk about that in a
Oh
minute.
my God, like, I don't know how many times I've almost been nailed there.
We're gonna talk about that. So just wanted you to know that, think about that, that's what the parking committee is recommending. I'll talk about Page Street for a quick minute. We've looked at that 100 many times. We've gone up there, we've looked over the stuff. Coming out of Page from the two-way to Main, looking down the street towards town, the sign used to be up past a big tree. It's down far enough now. That's probably okay. It's not great, but the worst part is coming out the one-way Page. We just had a T-bone wreck there here a week or two ago. And looking down to the left, right now the law says that, I believe it says that the no parking here at corner sign is 45 feet down the road. And there's room there for maybe 3 cars between the end of that and the driveway on the left. We looked that all over, and we think if we move that sign by law 25 feet farther down, 70 feet from the corner, there'd be room for 2 cars to park there. And I also talked to some of the residents in those apartment buildings there about their parking and their trouble. And they said that they wouldn't like them all gone, but 2 would be okay. So if we moved that 25 feet down, and we were looking at that and how it might be, you could probably see good enough down the street there.
Not when there's a van there.
And not when there's a school bus there. Right. But we can't fix all of that.
I know.
So, and then the other side of the street was okay. And then when you're going towards the Catholic Church, you're on Page coming up that one way, you look towards the Catholic Church, there's about room for, there's a no parking here at the corner sign, and there's another car that's sometimes parked there, and then there's a driveway. I like take away parking, but if we took away that one spot, when you come out there now and you're looking, it's kind of, I'll say you're looking at an angle around that car, and you can't see far enough up the street. If that's gone and you got those 2 spots there in front of that first house and the driveway, we believe you can see far enough that you should be able to see everything. So that's our recommendation there, is that we remove 1 spot on the main street, moving that sign from 45 to 25, and remove 1 spot on the south side, and remove 1 spot on Main Street east on the south side. We think that will help Main Street.
That would definitely help.
So that's gonna be our recommendation to do that with Page.
Removing a couple trees would also help. That is true, yes.
When you come out that, and you go by Maurer's old house, because it's always named after who you knew there, there's a hedge there. If you're in a low car, you can't see around the hedge, so you gotta get past the hedge, which means looking up the sidewalk, and now you've got a tree and a sign. It's a little hard, but still, we think if you move that 1 spot, you should be able to see enough. If you're trying to drive well.
Which corner is that?
Page and Main.
Page of it, oh, okay.
Good driver should be able to make that intersection.
So, those are the.
I mean, it's easy in the wintertime because you can see through the bush.
Those are gonna be 2 recommendations from us. Think about them, and
Rusty, would you email me?
I'll email you.
That'd be great. Carrier picture. But otherwise, get those recommendations to me, because I think we'd have to probably change the village code.
We're gonna have to change the parking law.
Yeah, it's all.
I don't know if we have to change it for the stop signs, but we have to change it for the.
I don't know, actually.
But we'd have to change it for the parking on those places.
Watch your revision second off around that one.
Oh, boy.
Good.
All right, let's do it.
Thank you for your.
Okay, enough of that. Enough of that for now. Think about it. And now, my last piece, thanks for being patient with me. I would like us to issue something, a proclamation or a something, thanking all the Joes, including, and some people have just adopted some new Joe names, including Cindy Josephine Motter, and Kim Josephine Norton, and Nikki Josephine Arroyo, and Meg Josephine Gilbert, and all the other people that we're not mentioning who helped on the food supplies to go down to North Carolina. And there's a lot of other people. But those 4 Joes, and then, to my mind, the Joes that really put this together, which is Jody Jody Seaver from the community shop, Joe Kennedy that thought this up and put it together, and two Joes, Joe Carpel and Joe Shortino, that drove this stuff to North Carolina. Two guys of ill health, old guys, and they drove it down there. And so I would love us to have some sort of a thing to thank all these Joes and all the other Joes that helped with this.
Oh,
Or Carl would be sick.
Does Una also help with that?
I'm sorry?
Does Una also help with it?
Uda?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Uda Josephine?
That's
Yes.
another joke.
That's another joke.
As I said in my thing, and all the other people that helped, because we had lots of other people helping. And anybody I left out wasn't left out because they didn't help. I thought it was first because of those four Joes, but then lots of others too. Don't know if there's anything we could do. It could go in the Courier when you talk to Anna, and it could certainly be something. We make a little frickin' proclamation or something, something to think of. We don't have to tell you to do that. If you feel like doing it, Mike, do something for them. Thank you. That's everything for me.
Charles?
Back in the days of the old administration, when Jeff Souls was superintendent, there was a deal made for cameras to be installed at Marvin Park. The village was supposed to foot half the bill for those cameras, thousands of dollars for those cameras. Well, somewhere after his death,
Thank you.
this deal fell through the cracks. So the village never paid for those, that half of the camera deal. After talking to Eric Johnson, who's on the Fair Board, we need more coverage at Marvin Park now that there's a skate park. And there's damage being done. I mean, not extensive, but it's a potential for more damage. That area of the park has never been covered by security cameras. So, in light of me making an inquiry about that, Eric has spoke to the Fair Board and is willing to forget about that half of the deal. We don't have to worry about that. So, because we've done so many nice things for the Fair Board. But in moving forward, in order to cover that area, he's speaking right now to get quotes on extra cameras to cover that. So we will have to pay for those. I think it'd be right. Pay for those cameras, those extra cameras that need to be installed to cover that area of the park. So when he gets back to me with the quotes, I will let everybody know how much it costs. And I think that's fair.
Who's watching the cameras of people on public property? The kids playing in the park, who has access to the cameras? Like,
I believe the police department, and they have there's a lockbox or something where they get, because one of the officers asked me about it, and he thought the fire department was involved in that. That's how it all got started, because he used to get from Jim Morris, who was he was the chief of the fire department, but Jim's on the Fair Board. So when he didn't become, when he stepped down, he lost contact with him.
Yeah, the context changed a bit.
Yeah. So, and plus, the brains of the operation for the cameras was on the pole that was on the bathroom. So we had lost the connection for that. So, those cameras, it has been replaced or fixed, and there's cameras that operate now in the park, but in addition to those extra cameras. But like I said, we don't have to worry about paying half the bill for all those cameras. I forgot how much. You remember how much those cameras? It's a lot of money for those cameras being installed.
I still would want to check our records.
Yeah.
I think we did.
Yeah. But he said we don't have to worry about paying for that, but we do have to.
So in the past, before they were broken because of the brains on the bathroom thing, the cameras were available at DPW. That's where the server is, their storage and all that good stuff. And the police department had access to it. And the fair board had access to watch their property.
Were these recorded? Because nobody's watching these live, yeah.
Yeah. So they're only watched when something happens usually.
You can go back and use it. So that's the gist of it. When I find out the cost of these additional cameras, we can go on from there.
And we can check into seeing, because I want to say, yeah, I think that deal is under.
Okay, cool.
Well, I'm in the middle here, but back to communications. You probably will see stuff. The fair board is hosting a circus.
Yes.
Charles and I, just before the meeting, talked to Eric Johnson. Supposedly, the entire circus, along with all the parking and everything, is going to be on their property.
Like it was last time, which it wasn't.
I'm telling you what they told us.
Send in.
And they booked this, can I interrupt?
Oh, yeah.
And they booked this, Fairwood needs to start playing nice with us. We've talked to Jonathan back when he was there about this. They continue to book things and not tell us that they're doing them. All of a sudden, their tickets are being sold and everything, and you can do that, but.
Yeah, because I heard about that before today.
Yeah.
And we heard it's online as of today.
No, it was all like.
That was online before. Yeah.
But anyway. So anyway, supposedly it's all on their, it's gonna be in their parking lot, and also the parking is gonna be in the parking lot. I don't know how.
But there won't be elephants.
No elephants, I heard.
No.
And you might wanna go to it because New York State is looking at outlawing circuses in general.
So it might be the last.
Might be the last one to get around.
So same thing. We would just like some, talked about this for a couple of years, we'd like some cooperation and some, heads up when before you sign the $5,000 contract for parking.
Before the
At a
circus
month.
calls us and asks us if there's any permits that we need for putting up a giant tent. That's how we found out about it.
That's all I have.
Right, but they call it village code, you see, in general, are there, because other municipalities have very strict codes on temporary structures, which their tents qualify as.
So it's not on the infield.
Nope, supposedly in the parking lot.
Just like last time.
Oh, yeah, I do have one thing. Santa's coming to town.
Oh, yes.
Saturday.
HOM, the holiday showcase, Saturday, the parade with Santa. Charles will be at, because I'll be the cheer thing.
I won't be Santa.
No, but you'll be at the parade. Is Saturday at noon, I think. You're supposed to line up like 11:30.
Yeah, Hyde Park.
Yep.
Hyde
Hyde
Park.
Park.
Mike, I'm under the impression that circus is December 1st, something like that.
It's the end of November.
Can I ask Adam something?
Yeah, if he has.
Adam, do you know when the circus is?
Oh, I have no idea. I didn't even know my dad was doing anything about it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Neither did we till we got.
Nor did we.
November 29th through December 1st.
There you go. I knew I saw a range.
It's a 3-day circus.
Yeah.
Wait, this village is in the circus area?
It's in a 3-ring circus.
Yes.
Under the big Northwest Owego, New York.
Yes.
We'll talk about this again later.
Yeah. So we're up. Sorry, I got in the middle. We're up to Laura.
Okay, I don't have a typed up written one. So, so it'll be short and sweet. So we had our kickoff meeting today with Brick DTA. That went well.
doing the reporting for the solar campaign. I finished that up Wednesday, send that in. We'll probably get another $5,000 for that. And then that'll mean our CDC campaign's raised $250,000 in grant money. Awesome, right? So the CEC is a climate energy communities grant, and the car we chose now is a Hyundai Ioniq 6. It's an all electric car, and
Hyundai or Honda?
Hyundai.
Hyundai?
Hyundai. Like
Hyundai.
Hyundai.
They're not like.
The Koreans, not the Japanese.
Yeah. They're like a hatchback. It's not like a car, it's like a hatchback kind of car.
It's still an SUV. Mine is you can call it like a subcompact. Anyways, it's a SUV. It has all-wheel drive.
Okay.
This is a recommendation, right, because you guys don't get to choose anything.
Nope. We're gonna get to choose it.
Okay.
Yep. I'm getting the quote, and I'm looking for the best price and the closest one, and then
Make sure
I
this is-
take that to the two coordinators, and then once that's approved through the coordinators with NYSERDA and from the state, then we can see about getting the car. But we've already, with the contract, we've already got we'll have 40% of the money. It's like 25 or 40% of the money before, and then once we purchase
The rest
it,
of them we got.
then we get reimbursed.
I remember seeing it. But just make sure it's a state bid and all that kind of stuff.
Right? Well, we don't have to get it from New York State. We can buy a car.
No, I know, we have to follow up procurement policy.
I'm just trying to say, the committee doesn't get to just do this stuff. The committee's a committee. They don't have authority. I don't know what authorities they have, but they don't have authority to just make all these decisions. The committee just brings everything here.
So we got it approved by the state for the specific thing. So we approved a car for a certain amount, and I'm gonna get quotes for.
Yeah, but we, the village, have to buy that car, so it has to come here, and it has to follow our procurement policy for us to buy it. And they get reimbursed from the state.
Right. I'm still in the process trying to figure it out. So maybe I'll just have to stay in New York, but
No, you can go.
Pennsylvania is the closest car.
You can go outside of New York. What they're pointing out is just, you need to follow the procurement policy, which would mean if it's a purchase in excess of $20,000, it either needs to be competitively bid or piggybacked off of a contract. The reference to a state contract is the piggybacking off of typically a New York State contract for vehicle purchases. So there's lots of those. Fred, Chief Kennedy.
We do it all the time with police cars, where Vestal has competitively bid it, and you say, we want one of those cars.
If there's a vehicle in Pennsylvania at a dealer that you're looking at, ask the vendor there, are you a Pennsylvania or New York State contract vendor? If so, can you give us your contract information? We can look it up and confirm that we can just piggyback off the pricing that you're offering. Or maybe they're using Sourcewell or pick another cooperative purchasing network. The village has participated in several of those in the past 5 years. So it's just a Mayor and Rusty are right. We just need to make sure we're following procurement policy when we're making these purchases, and the village board should be approving the purchase and ultimately all the legwork you're doing. You're almost like a department head for your committee and bringing these types of action items to the village board.
Yeah, so for the next meeting, I need to have the 3 quotes.
If it's more than 20,000, then it either needs to be competitively bid,
Which is not just 3 quotes.
which is not just 3 quotes.
Putting in the paper.
like,
Getting bid packages in.
right, which is typically why we piggyback off of a state contract for the purchase of vehicles. You're unlikely to get a better deal than what the state's getting.
All right, so I'm gonna continue to try to get a car. For code.
And maybe talk to Data Bill. Make sure we get the right vehicle, so we can buy the car.
Talk to Fred, like, he should be familiar with it.
I did, said, because I've been working at this for some time, and he didn't have any answers.
Maybe might be able to point you to New York State contracts for vehicles.
Yeah, he probably would know better.
Okay.
He buys more, Fred doesn't buy many vehicles.
Yeah. Okay, and then, the landscaping equipment is under, it's only 8,000, so that should be okay.
I would still check our, whatever we do.
You probably still have to get, you probably have to get 3 quotes, I think is over 5,000, we'd have to look at procurement policy. But talk to Rod in his office to get a copy of the procurement policy, just to confirm. It's probably still in the code, but just this year, we actually took it out of the code, because then you could change it by resolution.
Just so we check the boxes, because at the end of the day, the state's gonna say, to get our money back, did you follow your procurement policy? We have to be able to check yes.
So say I get quotes, but we've already got an approved quote from the state through this process to purchase these. Is that right? I guess
So
like,
if you sent things off to the state probably wasn't necessarily looking at it for purposes of our procurement policy. They were just looking at it from their perspective. For state thresholds, like $8,000 is below what a state agency is required to procure, multiple quotes for. Their thresholds are a lot higher. So they wouldn't necessarily trigger if you're just sending it to them to just like look at. But eventually they might ask us the question, did you follow your own procurement policy? So that's why we're trying to check all that stuff.
what happens when we want to pick out the level 2 chargers and we've just picked items off of Amazon? How do I competitively show you,
So so you've got a lot of questions. We probably don't need to eat up the board time having that conversation. Let's talk this week about all the questions you're gonna have.
We'll get you on the right track.
all right. Busy this week.
That's fine.
That one makes good too.
Just shoot me an email or give me a ring, and I'll call you back. It's gonna be fun. It's things that we can work through. I have every confidence in that.
Just we check all our boxes, so we get our money back.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Terry?
We have an OHPC meeting on Thursday at 7, and I just wanted to check with you. Do I email Officer Kennedy and just ask to have an officer here after our incident at the last meeting?
Yes.
Okay, and that's okay for me to do that?
Yes.
Okay, I will
Do
do
you have his email?
I believe I do.
Okay, if not, let me know. I
All right, thank you so much. And that's it, thank you.
Brad?
Okay, I have a number of things on the cemetery committee. First of all, we've been working with the Chamber of Commerce, and this coming Friday, the 8th at 1 p.m., we have a ribbon cutting at the gate to the cemetery, and it's open to the public, the ribbon cutting is, and we're asking the people that come to also go up to the summit so we can show off the rest of the road and the new parking area and everything, the walking trail, everything that's been done up there. And Owego Friends of Evergreen are providing refreshments up there at the summit. Going to, Owego donuts and beer. So, yeah, Chamber's gonna do the advertising for us. I mean, get the media in there for us, for all people, so. Yeah, and so we sent out invitations to everybody. Actually, I sent out an invitation to Judge Bowen, and he was so excited, he sent out about 24 more invitations and stuff, so.
And
Don't be the till city.
on that chamber topic, they asked to come to one of our meetings and present just about the chamber. So they're coming, I think, to the next meeting.
Okay, as far as, meetings for the cemetery committee, there are no more meetings this year. Our next meeting is going to be, Saturday, January the 11th at 10 a.m. here at this facility. We are having a joint meeting with the Friends of Owego Evergreen so that we can clarify what the goals are of the two groups and help coordinate. Also, I saw on Facebook there was this historic preservation award nomination, the New York State Landmark Past Awards, PASD. We have sent in an application. What that is they would look at all that we've done at the cemetery, including the chapel, which is part of the cemetery, and if they give us a award, there'll be a plaque to say, you know, the Preservation Association, you know, we were their award.
The cemetery is on the historic register of places.
Right.
And SHPO monitors that. And the Preservation League is a really good partner of SHPO. And the work didn't get reviewed before it happened by SHPO. You know, there was like, we developed land in the cemetery that, you know, without having any assessment of like the ground or the drainage or the road.
But we did have the architect, the landscape architect, give us a report 6 years ago with the recommendations of things that need to be done. And I mean, we've gradually made improvements there at the chapel and in the cemetery itself. We're putting up the guardrail, doing drainage work, doing the road.
But I think the SHPO would probably have a problem that we did renovation work on the chapel and on other, you know, like, it's a park. It's on the National Register.
Right.
And we're supposed to be following rules, and we did not for those projects.
We have been, Laura, we've been doing this for 2 years, and everything that was done has been approved by this board. No one said you have to go to somebody else to get it approved before the village board could approve it. I mean, you've been voting on all these issues.
There's rules that we're supposed to be following that we are not, because we're not aware of like all the things that we're supposed to be doing.
Well, why haven't you told the cemetery committee that we're supposed to get these approvals?
I do speak up. I sent out a good email about when the work had started in the cemetery, that there were no permits issued before it started. You know, like, there was no survey of the land. There was no delineation of where the parking lot space, you know, how big it was going to be, what the drainage was going to be. All the work's been done, and there is no official report of what we did changes to the road, changes to,
Road did not change.
ditches and culverts. We didn't address, the slope of the road or the drainage. We just paved it, and we can have caused a further problem down the hill.
Well, we started back, Judge Zoles, did the, some drainage up there in the cemetery. Nobody told him that he had to go through this committee. And we used the village money to do that. And we've done, like I said, all the different projects we've done at the chapel, which is part of the cemetery. We have come to the board for approval. And nobody said, now you need to go to this board. We were never told that.
All right, let's move on. I'm gonna move on. Laura's pointing out that maybe we should have been doing these things, and maybe we better start paying attention to doing these things. She's not here scolding you or somebody else for not doing something 23 years ago, or 7 years ago, or 2 years ago. She's saying, these might be rules and regulations, and so she's telling you now, we might be wanting to pay attention to this stuff.
Well, I wish you'd give me the printout on the regulations, what we need to be doing. I have no idea what you're talking about.
So my suggestion would just be prior to any other actions being undertaken at the cemetery, that SHPO be consulted before the village board approves it. And it should be on probably Fred and the cemetery committee to make sure that in fact SHPO has been consulted and provided feedback as to whatever the.
Give us the information on who we need to contact and all that stuff. I have no idea.
It's, Fred, it's not hard. We can get it to you. We'll figure it out.
So anyway, we put in a request for that award. Several other things that the cemetery is working on is we need to adjust the cost of sales of plots. They are way out of date. I mean, right now we sold plots for $500 each, and
Do we have any, I thought it was sold out.
well, like I said, we're working on getting prices. The goal is, once that area where people were parking, which are not, they're not going to be allowed to park anymore. We're gonna be, requesting that, that be, we need to get a surveyor in there to mark out plots to sell.
Okay.
Cause that land is now free, the parking will not be there, so whatever we need to do, let us know what is required to do that. Like I said, that's something that we're looking at, and we'll bring that request after probably February or March to the board.
Anything else?
That's it for tonight, yeah.
Mike, can I ask Fran a question? Rodney asked me for some numbers, and I wanted to make sure that Fran might know them exactly. I want to make sure I got them right. He wanted to know for sure to pay for the paving, where the money was coming from. Rodney, on Evergreen Capital Improvement Reserve, there was $38,000 in there, and we voted to take most of that out of there. That maybe 37. The exact number will be there out of that capital reserve fund, and then we had to wait 30 days for the non-binding or the permissive referendum. And then the CD we were cashing in completely at $82,686.90. That was about the 120 I was talking about. And then WAGS is giving us 37, the 7 that we didn't use, and the 30 for the thing. And that's the 157. And then I told you the cemetery committee or whoever's coming up with the other 3. So you got that now about where the money's come from?
Well,
have I got those numbers about right?
Okay, money is coming through the Friends of Owego Evergreen. All the money is getting donated to the Friends of Owego Evergreen, and they will pay that to the village. Yeah,
That's the
the
third, that's the
treasurer was
last
talking
four.
to me about that today. I told her she needs to get in touch with you. I mean, you don't know the total closeout on the CD.
I've got down
When you got, okay, well,
it's like 83,600.
yeah.
And I think,
Well, she'll be contacting you.
Fran, didn't we take maybe 37 out of the reserve, but we left something in there? A little bit?
Yeah, we took 38 out.
38 left change in there.
Another $900 left in there.
So Rodney, that's the 120, 121. And then the WAC money will be coming through them to you for another 437. So you good on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
What about that money that, for the sale of the trees, that went to the Friends of the Evergreen? Like that was like public property, and why would that, like?
Okay, there was a bill for the hauling of the stone from Lockheed. And that money went towards paying for that hauling of the stone.
Trees too.
Yes.
So why don't you make a motion after the fact that we will take any proceeds, we will allow the taking of the tree, we'll take any proceeds of it, and we will pay the lot key with that. I know we can fuss that they didn't do it correctly, but why don't we just put that to bed and solve that if you're interested?
So what you're saying is that we would retroactively decide that we're gonna cut down trees in the cemetery,
No, that tree.
sell them.
That tree.
That was only one tree.
Two trees.
There were 2 trees, but they had to be removed for that parking.
Did we sell both
Where
of
we
the
had
trees?
cleared that, yes.
Then
So-
2 trees.
And so it's village money, so the village should have that money, and not the Friends of the Evergreen.
So why don't you
Okay,
make that?
okay, there was, $7,000 that was being given, through a grant from the Wagner Foundation to the through the Friends to the village, okay? In order for the tax purposes, it's going through the Friends, because they're a 501c3, and then the money goes to the village, okay? So out of that 7,000, there was, this money for the, hauling of the stone, and, that was paid through the sale of the trees, so that there was the $7,000 left over, which is being used in paving.
Did the trees cover the hauling, like even up, or was there extra money there, or?
I would have to get you those figures, I don't have them on hand.
So Mike, how about I'm gonna make some kind of a motion, I don't know if this is good or bad, retroactively, we get permission for the cutting down of the 2 trees, we get permission for the monies to come to Owego for the blah, blah, and then have us give us the difference somehow, some way. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Let's just do that and get this over with. I don't know how to say it. Laura, I know it won't make you happy, but I just wanna I know it was done, and it doesn't matter, we can scold people all day long, but just wanna get that piece over with. So somehow we say, retroactively, we give them permission to cut those trees down. And the money will come back to us because however they play around with Les's money, they'll give it back to us towards the paving. Does that work? Is that okay? Can we, well, I know you don't like it.
You can attempt to make it okay that way.
Well, we can't make it okay any other way. All we can do is fuss about that it wasn't done right.
So the 2 trees were cut down as part of.
There were a bunch of trees. These 2 trees
We
were
sold.
valued, they were hardwood that could be sold.
Okay, so
Most of the others were.
this project, which was approved by the building board, required the cutting down of trees.
No, it didn't. It was, the project got approved after it was done.
Well, I understand, you know, and I think I remember there was a presentation many years ago, and, you know, this was a project that was gestating for quite a while, and how much did Fred so it was
And less
the
way.
Department of Public Works undertaking with its own forces primarily, a project that had been discussed for a very long time. I use that generously, I don't remember exactly how long. And Fred, I'm assuming, was the one who said, well, these trees need to go in order to accomplish this project. Right. Cutting down of trees, I think, is not something that the village board necessarily would be involved in. You don't ask Fred doesn't ask you for permission to cut down trees
Any place.
anywhere.
What about harvesting and selling them?
And so upon the harvesting of trees, Fred should have been in control of the trees. And Fred would have needed to, I think, ask the village board presumably to surplus the hardwood trees and then sell them. You know, how much money did we end up getting ballpark?
It was around $1,800.
So that's low enough that I think you don't need to do a huge process to sell. You know, you're not going to auction off hardwood trees. You typically just find a local person who's interested in hardwood and authorize the sale of that. I don't recall off the top of my head if the village board has already adopted a policy about the sale of surplus equipment and items and inventory or not. I've got other clients who've done that. They don't even bring some of this type of surplus stuff up to the village board because the village board has said, you're the department head, just do it. If we don't need it, you know, we'll trust you with that. So, I mean, Fran, I think if Fred wasn't involved in that, Fred should have been.
He was there every step of the way.
So Fred was aware of it.
Supervising
He was
the
supervising
process.
it. He oversaw it all. That sounds pretty appropriate to me. I understand your issue with the genesis of it all, but.
Yeah, like I feel like they can't just go ahead and decide to sell village property without any knowledge of the village board for their endeavors, you know, like they didn't previously
what
say
Rusty is
anything about
proposing
it.
to you is a motion to ratify Fred's sale of surplus hardwood generated as a result of that tree cutting.
And then since it's a small amount, et cetera, let's assume that Fred then used that money to pay Lopke for the hall. But we're just gonna assume that.
I mean, if there was a bill that the village was needing to pay, and
That 1,800 Fred used to pay that bill, which would probably be within his purview and under the numbers. Not right, but.
We oversee the payment of bills. And what gets paid.
well, Fred would have presumably done what many department heads do, and, you know, I mean, there would have been a bill that comes to you to get paid, yes. But Fred will often order things and then present the invoice to you for whatever that service is. And then if there's not enough money in a line item for the expense, then the village board will need to move the monies or the funds from one line item to another. Like the revenue from sale of surplus items would be realized as revenue in the budget, you know, should have been captured that way. And then there'd be unexpected revenues, I forget the phrase specifically, but then there's just a unreserved, unallocated balance available in this line item, which could then be appropriated to the grant line item. I mean, you know, that's getting all the way down to it. I think, Laura, yes, it sounds like the procedure could be clearer, but I'm not seeing anything that necessarily jumps out at me as completely inappropriate. The village of Owego has a lot of things procedurally that need to be tightened up.
Yeah.
You know, we've been banging that drum for 8 years now. You know, and Fran, I think Laura's concerns, right? There needs to be real clear communication and monitoring of funds, surplus items, etc.
So can I jump in one more time? So it's been done, maybe it wasn't done appropriately, what do you wanna do about it?
So
No, what do you wanna do?
Nadine read this statement that, like, you know, when they were trying to get a grant and help from the preservation league, you know, that.
That's what you wanna do about next time, what do you wanna do about this one?
With our actions, well, the cemetery is on the National Register, SHPO oversees it, they oversee our CLG, and when we keep completing these actions that are, without process, without doing all the procedures that we need to do. The finances are not very clear and presented. We were really doing shoddy, sloppy work, and we're not performing like our due diligence of overseeing our historic resources, in our property that we are supposed to be managing. Like we signed up with the SHPO. We said we would maintain the cemetery. We promised them that we would contact them before we do work and, and get approvals. And we just continue to go ahead and plow ahead and do these improvements. And now you're gonna ask them for an award for it.
Well, this is
If
the
we're gonna-
first time you've told me that we have to go through SHPO before the village can do anything. Like I said, everything that's been done has been voted on by this board.
And as far as I know, SHPO only controls buildings, not trees. Charles?
I just want to note that I watched that clock strike 9:30 twice today.
Yeah.
I know.
Uh-huh.
We're all feeling fuzzy around the edges.
I agree.
So, you don't like the process, I know you want it not to happen anymore, I get it. What do you wanna do? Is there anything you wanna do about what just happened? Is there anything you can do about what just happened, other than say, don't let it happen anymore? We can't do anything about it, it's already happened. We can't take anybody's birthday away, not one of 72, none of them. Let me say that again, by very time. So anyway, I get it, your point is well taken, but we need to move along on that. And you know what, make the point next week, I make this point about process all the time, make it again about more process, make it all you want. But let's move along on this one. Do you have a way you want to say this or do this so that we can put that to bed?
Well, I would say.
I still wanna lose access to all our grants and everything that we're working for.
So Laura,
You made that
I
point.
think what Rusty's trying to get to is there's no good way to fix it. Like the water's spilled on this, to the extent that there was even anything that was spilled or not. I'm not 100% clear myself on that. So, Rusty, I'm not sure if there's a motion.
I'm not gonna make a motion, we're just gonna assume Fred cut those trees down and Fred sold those trees and that money got used to fix that parking lot. And all the monies that Les is gonna bring in and however way they put it in is gonna be here, and that's done. If you don't want it done, then don't be it done.
As we do improvements up there, we need to be careful and probably consult OHPC.
Yep.
That is not in the historic district, but it's still historic, so we have.
That's part of Laura's concern.
And that's not something to think about when they come say, well, we're gonna replace, which they didn't replace, they fixed windows in the chapel.
Yeah.
Like we probably didn't get a certificate of appropriateness like we should have.
Yeah, there you go, did we get any, we
Or
put it,
the
we see
new
approval?
parking lot in there,
It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it would go through Daniel
The point is
Biggs
taken.
and Parks Department, but, I mean, I think if they start selling headstones, yeah, we got a problem, but they're not. So it's trees, yes, it's unfortunate, but I do think we need to move on.
We won't do it again.
Definitely buildings and roads and trees and whatever.
Right. So we could try to contact the state and retroactively, tell them about our improvements or tell them what we did.
I think.
We're just gonna ask them for a
I
award.
think repaving is okay. I don't see that being an issue.
the road was not,
Right, because the roads stayed the same. Have you walked up there lately? I'm just saying, like, they didn't change the layout of the thing, so I think we're okay on this one. I mean, headstones would be different, things like that. That would be a problem.
We'll figure out a way.
okay, well, the cemetery has money to repair headstones. Do we have to have every headstone that's repaired approved by SHPO?
That's a really good question, and that's something I can check and find out for you. And we can start talking about it, because we could easily send them digital pictures. That's what I do when we do stuff at our house. So, and they're great about it, absolutely.
Mayor, you got a report?
I got a report. I was thinking about stuff, but
Can't remember that.
public comment. We got a couple people here.
And now is the time.
So, I guess I'm a little disappointed in the course of action the board took. When I submitted my suggestions, it was to put EMS on kind of a more equal footing with the rest of the departments in the village, fire, public works. And you managed to undo pretty much any input the volunteers had on the department. It just seems like it was a step backwards from taking the consideration of the volunteer elected chief as the department head. And now the mayor is, I understand you wanting to maintain flexibility. I don't think the volunteers of the EMS department are gonna see it that way.
In response to that, you wanted an equal department. So now it is an equal department to DPW, police, sewer, where we run it and we pick who's gonna run it.
Well, not exactly. In the village officers section of the code, it says that the,
Like our police
something about
officers
the,
don't pick who the chief is.
fire department chief engineers are, right?
The fire department's a completely different game.
Because they're chartered by the state of New York.
But in response, the police officers don't pick who the chief is. We do. And civil service, but that's because it's a paid position.
Well, I guess just because the fire department is chartered, I mean, it doesn't preclude you from taking into consideration the volunteers' election of chief. That's it. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? Public comment? All right, move to adjourn. See you next time.